French doors of Luciano Godi's villa study like liquid gold, catching dust motes in its amber light. I moved through the space with practiced silence, my hands steady as I emptied the crystal ashtray on his mahogany desk, careful not to disturb the contract spread across the leather surface. He sat 5 feet away, fountain pen moving across documents worth more than my entire year's salary, conducting business as if I didn't exist. That was part of the unspoken understanding we'd maintained for 4 years. This suffocating awareness wrapped in professional invisibility, like breathing underwater while pretending to be perfectly fine. Si, capisco, Luciano said into his phone, his voice carrying that dangerous edge that made powerful men reconsider their positions. His Italian was pure Sicilian aristocracy, each word weighted with generations of commanding empires built on blood and unwavering loyalty. Tell Marcello if the Calabrian shipment arrives even 1 hour late, I'll personally ensure he understands the importance of punctuality. I kept my gaze down, polishing the brass lamp, even as every nerve tracked his presence. The study was a temple to old money and older violence. First edition books in glass cases, a Caravaggio sketch depicting biblical vengeance, furniture that had witnessed a century of gaudy family decisions. Luciano collected beautiful things the way other men collected trophies, each piece chosen for what it represented about control, permanence, and the price of maintaining both. He ended the call without ceremony, setting his phone down with that controlled precision I'd learned to recognize. Every movement calculated. Even silence was a weapon in his arsenal. I straightened, hands folded in front of my black uniform dress, white apron crisp and perfect. This was the moment I'd been dreading. Mr. Gotti, I said, voice steady despite my hammering heart. I need to request leaving 2 hours early tomorrow. I have personal plans. The effect was immediate and devastating. His fountain pen stopped mid-signature, hovering above a contract worth millions. The late afternoon light caught the gold nib, suspending it in perfect stillness. His jaw tightened, barely perceptible to anyone who hadn't spent 4 years memorizing every micro-expression. Then he did something that made my breath catch. Nothing. He said absolutely nothing. No questions. No acknowledgement. No dismissal. Just those dark Italian eyes lifting from documents to meet mine, slowly, deliberately, holding my gaze with an intensity that stripped away every professional boundary we'd maintained. The silence stretched like a living thing. 5 seconds. 10. An eternity measured in the thunder of my pulse. His hand moved with controlled precision, placing the fountain pen down. Still no words. The sunset blazed behind him, turning him into a dark silhouette haloed in gold. But I felt it. That possessive, searing attention that made me understand what prey felt in the moment before the jaguar struck. The unspoken question hung in charged air. Chia, who is he? I can make up the time Saturday, I managed, if that's acceptable. Silence, those dark eyes never wavering. Thank you, Mr. Gotti. I'll finish upstairs now. I turned to leave, forcing calm professionalism, the invisible black woman who polished his world and never demanded to be seen. As my hand touched the brass door handle, his voice cut through the silence like a blade. Juliana. My name. In 4 years, he'd never said my name, not once. I froze, heart stopping. Didn't turn around, couldn't. What time? His voice was silk over steel. 7, sir. Another endless silence, then, buona serata. Good evening, a dismissal. But the way he said it felt like a promise, or a threat. I stepped into the hallway, closed the door with trembling hands, and realized with sudden terrifying clarity, tomorrow had just become infinitely more dangerous than any date with Alessandro could ever be. The knock came at 7 in the morning, shattering the fragile sleep I'd managed after tossing all night thinking about that devastating silence, that single word, Juliana, spoken like a claim. I opened my apartment door to find Giorgio, Luciano's driver, standing in the narrow hallway of my modest building. His expression was carefully neutral as he extended a manila envelope. Il Capo asked me to deliver this personally, Signorina. My hands shook as I took it. Giorgio's eyes held something like pity before he turned and walked away, his expensive shoes echoing down the stairs that smelled of old cooking oil and decades of immigrant dreams. I closed the door, opened the envelope. Inside was a complete dossier on Alessandro Ricci, bank statements, employment history, church attendance records, even photographs. Alessandro leaving the bank, Alessandro at Sunday service, Alessandro buying flowers at the market near my apartment. At the bottom, in bold type, Alessandro Ricci, 34, bank manager, church deacon. Background, unremarkable. Threat level, minimal. Assessment, tedioso, boring. Rage ignited in my chest like gasoline meeting flame. 20 minutes later, I stormed through the villa's service entrance, not even bothering to change into my uniform. Staff scattered as I marched toward his study, my fury a living thing clawing at my throat. I didn't knock, just threw the door open hard enough it hit the wall. Luciano looked up from his desk, completely unsurprised, as if he'd been waiting for this exact moment. His white dress shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms that shouldn't have made my traitorous body respond even through my anger. "You had him investigated?" I slammed the folder on his desk. "I'm your maid, not your property." He stood slowly, buttoning one cuff with maddening calm. "In my world, Bellissima, everything I value is my concern." His dark eyes held mine, and something in that word, value, sent heat racing down my spine. "And you?" He paused, letting the silence stretch into something unbearable. "You clean my home." The dismissal in those words should have stung. Instead, it felt like a lie we both knew he was telling. "This Alessandro," Luciano continued, moving around his desk with predatory grace. "He's appropriate for you, no? Safe, respectable, a man who opens doors and discusses scripture." His voice dropped an octave, becoming silk over razors. "Everything I'm not." "That's not—" I started, but he closed the distance between us. "A bank manager who sees you as a prize for his righteousness. A good Christian woman to parade at church, to elevate through his generosity." His accent thickened with barely controlled emotion. "Tell me, Juliana, when he touches your hand, does your pulse race like it's racing right now?" My breath caught audibly. Traitor. He smiled, dark, knowing, devastating. "That's what I thought. You have no right." "I have every right to protect what's mine." "I'm not yours." The air between us crackled with 4 years of unspoken want. His eyes dropped to my lips, then back up, and I saw it. The same hunger that had been eating me alive reflected in those dark depths. "Go on your date, Juliana," he said softly, stepping back, giving me space that somehow felt like punishment. "Enjoy your safe, respectable evening with your appropriate man." I should have left, should have run, but understand something. His voice followed me to the door. "Safe men bore you. I see it in your eyes every time you look at me and pretend you don't." I froze, hand on the doorknob. "Tonight, when he kisses you goodnight, and he will, because appropriate men follow appropriate timelines, you'll think of me. And tomorrow, mia bellezza oscura, you'll come back to this villa, because you always do." The door clicked shut behind me, but his words wrapped around my throat like a collar. He was right. God help me, he was right. Alessandro chose Ristorante Bella Vista, white tablecloths, soft classical music, the kind of place where respectable people had respectable conversations about respectable futures. He pulled out my chair with a practiced smile. You look beautiful, Juliana. That dress is very appropriate. Appropriate. That word again, like a cage disguised as a compliment. Thank you, I managed, smoothing the modest blue dress I'd chosen specifically because it screamed good Christian woman. This was our first real date. We'd had coffee after church twice before, but this was different, intentional. A courtship officially beginning. Dinner was a performance of propriety. Alessandro discussed his promotion track at the bank, his plans to buy a house in a nice neighborhood, his vision for a stable life built on faith and discipline. He quoted scripture between courses, his hands clean and soft as they gestured, emphasizing points about responsibility and God's plan for righteous living. I've been praying about this, he said, reaching across the table to take my hand. About us. I believe God put you in my path for a reason, Juliana. You're a hard worker, devoted to your faith despite your circumstances. Circumstances. Code for poor, black, cleaning houses for a living. With the right guidance, he continued, thumb stroking my knuckles in what should have been comforting, I could help elevate your station. Give you the respectability you deserve. A woman of your character shouldn't have to. Shouldn't have to what? I interrupted, pulling my hand back. Clean for a living? Be a maid? I didn't mean... His smile faltered. I just meant you're worth more than service work. Through marriage, you could be saved, be elevated, be grateful for his charitable heart. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. Stai bene. Are you well? My heart seized. I knew that. Even typed. Somehow it felt like his. Luciano. Everything all right? Alessandro asked, concern painted across his perfectly appropriate face. Fine. Just work. But my hands trembled as I set the phone down. Because in that moment, I realized the truth I'd been running from. When Alessandro held my hand, I'd thought of Luciano's. Scarred, rough, dangerous. Hands that had signed death warrants and built empires. Hands that would never treat me like a charity case needing elevation. I felt nothing with Alessandro, but the wrongness of being touched by someone who saw me as a project, not a person. Someone who wanted to fix me, not know me. The rest of dinner blurred. Appropriate conversation, appropriate wine. Appropriate everything that made my skin crawl with the desperate need to escape. At my apartment door, Alessandro leaned in, telegraphing his intentions with respectful slowness. His kiss was chaste, careful, perfectly calibrated for a first real date with a woman he intended to court properly toward marriage. I wanted to weep from sheer disappointment. I'll call you tomorrow, he promised, squeezing my hand. We can discuss meeting my parents. I watched him walk away, then turned to enter my building, and froze. Giorgio stood in the shadows, hands folded, expression unreadable. Signorina Mendes, Il Capo requests your presence. When tonight? It's almost 11. He said to tell you, tomorrow's cleaning is canceled. Giorgio's eyes held something dark. He'll explain everything himself. The car is waiting. My pulse hammered. And if I refuse? Giorgio's smile was thin. He said you'd ask that. He said to remind you. You always come back. The words from this morning echoed. Tomorrow, mia bellezza oscura, you'll come back to this villa. Because you always do. I looked up at my dark apartment window, then at the black Mercedes idling at the curb, engine purring like a predator. Every instinct screamed this was dangerous. That getting in that car meant crossing a line I couldn't uncross. I got in the car. I went to him that night. But the moment I stepped into his study, I saw the war raging behind his eyes, want and restraint locked in brutal combat. Go home, Juliana. His voice was rougher than I'd ever heard it. Before I do something we can't take back. Luciano, vai. Go. His hands gripped the edge of his desk, knuckles white.
We'll discuss your schedule in the morning, when I can think clearly, when you're not standing in my study smelling like another man's cologne. I left, but I felt the weight of everything unsaid pressing against my spine. The morning never came. Instead came 2 weeks of psychological warfare so subtle, so devastating, I almost convinced myself I was imagining it. Monday. My cleaning schedule mysteriously shifted to Thursday afternoons, exactly when Alessandro had planned our museum visit. A handwritten note in Luciano's precise script. Villa requires deep cleaning. Your presence essential. Tuesday. A delivery arrived at my apartment. Italian leather gloves, butter soft and obscenely expensive. The card read simply, "Your hands deserve better." I should have returned them. I wore them to church instead, and hated myself for it. Wednesday. 3 books appeared on my doorstep. Portuguese editions about Brazilian history, the favelas of São Paulo, the immigrant experience, stories about women like my mother who'd crossed oceans chasing dreams. He knew me, knew what I'd lost, what I'd survived, what kept me awake at night. Alessandro called. This Saturday? Dinner with my parents? I'll have to check my work schedule. His silence stretched too long. Your employer seems to require a lot of your time. By week 2, Luciano stopped pretending. He worked from home, always in whatever room I was cleaning. Silent, intense, his presence a physical weight I felt even with my back turned. The library while I dusted shelves, the sitting room while I polished silver, the terrace while I watered plants. Never speaking. Just those dark eyes tracking every movement, every breath, like a jaguar studying prey. The other staff noticed. Maria, the cook, shot me knowing glances. Giorgio smirked when he thought I wasn't looking. Whispers in rapid Italian I pretended not to understand. La padrona nuova. The new mistress. Friday afternoon, another delivery. A first edition copy of Clarice Lispector's The Hour of the Star, about a Brazilian maid in a foreign city. The inscription in Italian. She deserved more than her story gave her. So do you. I was crying when Alessandro called. 2 weeks, Juliana. 2 weeks of canceled plans because your employer suddenly needs you every moment. His voice cracked with frustration. What exactly does he need that can't wait? Everything, I thought. He needs everything I am. It's not like that. Isn't it? Alessandro's voice hardened. I've been patient, understanding. But this man, your employer, he's particular. Perhaps you should find different work. We can't build a future when what? When you're clearly not free to build one. Him or me, Juliana. Your job or our future. Choose. The line went dead. I stood in my small apartment, that book clutched to my chest, and knew with terrifying clarity there was no choice. There never had been. I called Giorgio. Tell him I'm coming. 30 minutes later, and I walked through the villa's main entrance. Not the service door, not anymore. The library doors stood open, warm light spilling into the darkened hallway. Luciano sat in the leather chair by the fireplace, a tumbler of whiskey catching amber light. He looked up as I entered. The door clicked shut behind me. Locked. Finalmente, he said softly. Finally. Now we stop pretending. We're not talking here, Luciano said, standing with lethal grace. Follow me. He led me through the villa's shadows to a door I'd cleaned around but never opened. Stone steps descended into darkness, the wine cellar, ancient, intimate, away from the household staff who already whispered too much. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of aged oak and earth. Centuries-old bottles lined the walls, witnesses to generations of gaudy secrets. The single hanging light cast us both in amber shadows. Why? The word exploded from me. Why sabotage my dates? Why the gifts, the schedule changes, the constant watching. I'm your maid, Mr. Gotti. That's all I am. That's all I'm supposed to be. He moved so fast I gasped, backing me against the wine racks, his hands gripping the shelves on either side of my head, caging me. Not touching, but close enough I felt his heat, smelled cedar and smoke and something darker. La mia Juliana. His voice was gravel and silk. You think I haven't memorized every breath you take? The way you bite your lip when you concentrate? How you hum Brazilian songs you think no one hears? His eyes burned into mine. 4 years of watching you move through my home like you own it. Like you're the only real thing in my world of beautiful lies. Then say it. My voice shook with fury and want. Tell me what you want instead of this psychological torture. I want to ruin you. The confession tore from him. I want to take you from that safe man and make you mine. But men like me destroy beautiful things, Bellissima. I'll destroy you, your reputation, your respectability, and your future with appropriate men who open doors and quote scripture. I don't want his safety. The truth erupted like a dam breaking. I don't want him at all. I want you, with all your violence, all your darkness, all the impossible complications. I want the man who investigates my dates and sends me books about favela girls who deserved more. His hands were shaking on the wine rack. Cosa stai dicendo? 4 years I've watched you. Tears burned my eyes. 4 years I've loved you from behind professional walls, from the servants' quarters, from invisibility. 4 years of pretending I don't see the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. Juliana, I'm tired of appropriate, tired of respectable, tired of being ashamed of wanting what I want. Something in him shattered. Ti amo, mia bellezza oscura. His forehead dropped to mine, breath ragged. I love you. Dio mi aiuti, I love you and it's killing me because I'll ruin everything you are. Then ruin me. The kiss was inevitable. 4 years of restraint exploding into desperate need. His hands tangled in my hair. Mine gripped his shirt, pulling him closer, closer, never close enough. He kissed me like he was drowning and I was air, like I was sacred and profane and entirely his. When we broke apart, both gasping, I forced the words through kiss-swollen lips. All or nothing, Luciano. I won't be your secret mistress in the servants' quarters. I'm your Donna, standing beside you publicly, or I walk away forever. His dark eyes searched mine, seeing the steel beneath the surrender. Choose, I demanded. His smile was dangerous, possessive, devastating. Then you're my Donna. Mia Moli. Mia Regina. His thumb traced my jaw. Mine completely. And God help anyone who tries to take you from me. He kissed me again, claiming, branding, promising violence to anyone who dared question it. When I left the cellar hours later, dawn was breaking, and I wasn't going home to my apartment. I woke to Milan's sunrise bleeding gold through floor-to-ceiling windows, wrapped in Egyptian cotton sheets that cost more than 3 months of my salary. Luciano's arm was heavy across my waist, his breath warm against my neck, possessive even in sleep. This was the master suite, his bed, his world, our world now. His eyes opened, dark and immediate. No regrets? Terrified, I admitted, but no regrets. He pulled me closer, lips brushing my temple. My family won't accept this. Your community won't either. They'll call you terrible things. Putana, homewrecker, the black maid who seduced their dawn. His voice hardened. It will be brutal, amore mio. Let them talk. I turned to face him. I chose you with eyes open, Luciano. I'm not running from the consequences. Dio, you're fierce. Something like wonder crossed his face. How did I deserve you? You don't. I smiled against his mouth. But you're mine anyway. The bedroom door burst open. A man in an expensive suit, mid-30s. Luciano's sharp features, softened by privilege, froze in the doorway. His eyes found me in Luciano's bed, my dark skin stark against white sheets, and his face twisted with disgust. "Cazzo, Luciano! The servant said, but I didn't believe—" He switched to rapid Italian, clearly thinking I wouldn't understand. "The maid? You're fucking the help? A black—" Luciano was out of bed and across the room before I could blink. His fist connected with his cousin's jaw with sickening force, slamming him against the doorframe. "Ascoltami bene." His voice was death itself. "She is mia donna, my woman. You will say her name, Juliana, with respect, or I'll remove your tongue and feed it to you." "Luciano, I didn't—" Another blow. Blood sprayed. "Apologize. Now." "Mi dispiace, signorina." To her face. I pulled on Luciano's shirt, crossing to where his cousin cowered. "My name is Juliana Mendez," I said clearly in flawless Italian. "And yes, I cleaned your cousin's home. Now I share his bed. If you have something to say it to my face." His cousin's eyes widened. Shock that the invisible maid spoke, understood, challenged him. "Get out," Luciano said softly, "and tell the family exactly what you saw. Tell them their Don has chosen his queen. Anyone who disrespects her answers to me." An hour later, Luciano was carrying my belongings from the servants' quarters, my books, my mother's rosary, my few clothes, to his suite himself. Not having staff do it, doing it with his own hands, each trip a public declaration. "You're making a statement?" I said as he set the last box down. "See." He produced a velvet box. Inside, a necklace, gold with the gaudy family crest, heavy and ornate. "So everyone knows you're mine." He fastened it around my neck, his fingers lingering. The weight settled against my skin like a collar, a crown, a target. "What if I can't do this?" Fear cracked my voice. "What if I don't fit their world?" "Bellissima." He turned me to face him. "You don't need to fit their world. We're creating our world." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A photo message loaded slowly. My mother's church, spray-painted with slurs. A message. "Tell your whore daughter she's not welcome here. Neither are ni—" Luciano took the phone from my trembling hands and hurled it across the room. It shattered against the wall, screen splintering into 1,000 pieces. "It's already started," I whispered. His eyes went black. "Ben, let them come." The gaudy family gathering was held at his mother's estate, a fortress of old money and older prejudices masquerading as Sunday dinner. Every eye tracked me as we entered, Luciano's hand burning possessively at my back. Whispers rippled like poison through expensive perfume and centuries of bloodline pride. His mother stood at the head of the dining table, silver hair, ice blue eyes, judgment carved into aristocratic features. She looked at me the way people look at stains on silk. "Una cameriera?" Her voice could freeze flames. "A maid? A black maid?" She switched to Sicilian dialect, clearly expecting I wouldn't understand. "Luciano, you bring this into our family? This brings shame to the Gori name." Every face waited for me to shrink, to confirm their assumptions about the poor black girl who'd seduced their Don. I smiled, responding in the same Sicilian dialect. "Ku neshi arineshi." Who dares, succeeds. Your husband, God rest his soul, taught me that proverb while I cleaned his study, Signora Gotti. He also taught me that true nobility is in action, not bloodline. The room went silent. Luciano's fingers tightened on my waist, pride and possession. My son could have anyone. He chose me. I met her eyes, and I chose him. With respect, Signora, we're not asking permission. But the villa was sanctuary compared to what waited outside. My phone, replaced by Luciano with a new one that same day, exploded with messages from church sisters. Fallen woman. Your father would die of shame. Sleeping with a white criminal. You've become everything we escaped Brazil to avoid. The anonymous letter arrived Tuesday. Slurs I won't repeat. Threats detailed and specific. We know where you shop, where you pray. Corrupting a white man with your... Luciano read it once, made a phone call, and assigned 4 armed guards. No. I ripped the paper from his hands. I won't live in a cage. You'll live safe. His voice brooked no argument. Guards follow you everywhere. I track your phone. Non-negotiable. You're suffocating me. I'm protecting you. I chose danger, Luciano, not a different kind of prison. I threw the letter at him. You think I survived São Paulo favelas by hiding? You think I need guards to walk to the market? Basta. His roar shook windows. Then, quieter, broken. They'll kill you, amore mio. To hurt me, they'll kill you, and I can't... His voice cracked. Non posso perderti. I cannot lose you. The rage drained from me. I touched his face, feeling him tremble. I'm not made of glass. No, you're steel and fire. He pulled me close. But even steel can break. Let me protect what's mine. Per favore. Before I could answer, Giorgio burst in without knocking, a breach of protocol that meant emergency. Capo, the Calabrians, they're making moves. His face was grim. They're saying you're distracted, weakened by... His eyes flicked to me. They're calling for a meeting. Tonight. Luciano's expression went arctic. Andiamo. No. Giorgio's voice was urgent. They specifically mentioned La Donna. They want to see if the rumors are true. If you'll bring her. A trap. Obviously a trap. I'll stay here. I started. No. Luciano's voice was absolute. You're coming. They want to see my weakness? I'll show them my strength. He grabbed his jacket, checked his gun. They want to test me? Bene. Let them try. The meeting never happened. Luciano's intelligence network discovered it was an ambush, a trap to assassinate us both in neutral territory. So we didn't go. But the Calabrians, furious at being outmaneuvered, decided to bring the war to us instead. 3 days later, I was shopping in Milan, 4 guards trailing discreetly, when the world exploded into violence. They came from everywhere. 6 men, professional, coordinated. Not after Luciano's guards, after me. The first guard went down with a bullet to the head. The second screamed into his radio before a blade found his throat. Civilians scattered, screaming. I ran, but hands grabbed me, slamming me against a storefront. La puttana del Don, a voice hissed. The Don's whore. São Paulo survival instincts ignited when he pressed the knife to my throat, and I didn't freeze. I fought like the favela girl who'd learned that predators smell fear. I twisted, broke his grip, and when he lunged again, I caught his wrist, redirected the blade, and drove it into his side with everything I had. He dropped, gurgling. Blood, hot and red, covered my hands, my dress, everything. More gunfire. Giorgio appeared from nowhere, eliminating 2 more attackers. Then Luciano's voice, raw with terror. Juliana! He found me standing over the body, shaking, covered in blood. His face went white. Dio mio, are you... Dimmi ci stai bene? I'm fine. My voice sounded far away. He's not. Luciano pulled me to his chest, hands frantically checking for injuries. We're leaving. Now. That night, the 'Ndrangheta sent their message. War. Using me as justification. Godi weakened by his patana. Switzerland. Luciano was already packing. Tonight, I have a safe house. No. Juliana. I survived São Paulo. I survived racism. I survived poverty. I grabbed his hands. I won't hide from your enemies like I'm the problem, like I'm your weakness. They'll kill you to hurt me. His voice broke. Per favor, amore, please run. Please be safe. We face this together or not at all. I forced him to look at me. I'm not the weakness they think I am. I'm your strength. The month that followed was shadow war. Brutal. Calculated, merciless. But while Luciano orchestrated violence, I did something unexpected. I kept working. Not as maid, as his Donna, maintaining legitimate business operations. And in that role, I became invisible again in a different way. Staff talked around me, forgetting the poor maid understood everything. I heard whispers about Calabrian safe houses, supply routes, the name of a traitor in Luciano's organization feeding information. Amore, I said one night, handing him intelligence that changed everything. The leak isn't external, it's Marco, your accountant, and I know where the Calabrians are hiding their families. His eyes widened, then darkened with deadly purpose. The war ended in 72 hours, surgical strikes, absolute victory. The Calabrians surrendered, paid tribute, and, crucially, acknowledged me as Donna with respect. When it was over, Luciano found me on the terrace, watching Milan burn with police lights. His hands were shaking as he pulled me close. Hai rubato il mio cuore, he whispered. You've stolen my heart. No. I turned in his arms. I gave you mine first. He kissed me, desperate, grateful, still terrified by how close he'd come to losing me. His phone rang. He answered, listened, and his face transformed. What? I demanded. My mother. His voice was strange. She's requested your presence, tomorrow, in Sicily. I flew to Sicily alone, Luciano watching from the tarmac with barely controlled fear. His mother's request felt like walking into a lion's den. But when I arrived at the family estate, she greeted me herself at the door. No servants, just her, in simple black, eyes assessing. Walk with me, she said. We walked through gardens that had seen 2 centuries of gaudy history. She was silent for a long time then. You killed a man. With his own knife. Yes, Signora. You survived a month-long war without running, without breaking. Yes. You turned my son, a man who trusted no one, into someone who trusts completely. She stopped, faced me. You're stronger than I credited. My son chose well. Her mouth tightened, even if I hate admitting it. She poured tea with her own hands, acknowledgement that I'd proven myself in blood and fire. That when Luciano arrived that evening, he found us discussing Sicily's history, 2 women who'd both fought for their place in the gaudy legacy. Afterward, he took me to the family vineyard, rolling hills of ancient vines, mountains purple in the distance, sunset turning everything gold. Generations of goddess were buried here, their names carved in stone beneath the soil they'd bled for. This land has seen 200 years of gaudy blood, Luciano said, walking me through rows of vines his grandfather had planted. It's where we bring what's most precious, what we intend to keep forever. He stopped at the highest point, where the view stretched to the Mediterranean. Then he dropped to one knee in the dirt his family had tilled for centuries. Sposami, Juliana Mendez. His voice cracked. Marry me. The ring, a black diamond, rare as starlight, caught the dying sun. Like you. Beautiful, rare, unbreakable. His hands shook. You survived assassination. You survived my family's hate. You survived war. Sei più forte di me. You're stronger than me, and I need that strength beside me. Forever. Tears blurred my vision. I've been yours since the moment you went silent. Since you said my name like a prayer. Yes. Si. Sim. In every language. Yes. He slipped the ring on, then pressed his forehead to our joined hands. Non ti meriterò mai. I'll never deserve you. Stop. I pulled him up, cupped his face. Stop saying you're not good enough. You're mine, Luciano. That's all that matters. He kissed me as the sun set over his family's sacred ground and I tasted salt. His tears are mine, impossible to tell. 8 months later, we married in that same vineyard. Small ceremony, his loyal soldiers, the few family members on both sides who'd chosen love over prejudice. My own mother's absence carved a hole in my chest. Her conservative heart couldn't accept the shame of her daughter marrying a white criminal. But Luciano's mother attended, grudging but present after he'd threatened severing all family ties completely. The newspapers screamed, "Gotti Don Mari's Black Maid." We framed the headline. The ceremony blended worlds, Italian Catholic rites, Brazilian traditions, creating something entirely ours. My dress, Brazilian lace over Italian silk, white and defiant. We spoke our vows in 3 languages, declaring love in every tongue we knew. Minha rainha, his voice carried across the vineyard. My queen, from invisible to unforgettable. I chose you over respectability, over safety, how over everything. I smiled through tears. Ti amo per sempre. I love you forever. We danced as sunset painted the sky, both families watching, some joyful, some disapproving. We didn't care. This was my choice, my life, my love, and I'd burn both our worlds down before I regretted choosing him. So, what do you think? Would you have chosen love over respectability? Would you have fought for the impossible? Tell me in the comments. I want you to share your views in the comments section.